Hey there, upper elementary teacher. I have a quick question for you. What subject do you teach? Now, what if I told you that whatever your answer is, it doesn't matter, and you are a writing teacher? Now, I know that might not be what you signed up for, but it's true. Writing instruction shouldn't just be taught in our writing block, because when you teach any subject, you have the opportunity and really you have the responsibility to teach writing too. Hey there, I'm Sarah Marie, creator of the Stellar Literacy Collective and host of the Stellar Teacher Podcast. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly why every single teacher needs to view themselves as a writing teacher. And I'm going to share one really easy strategy that you can start using today to bring more writing into all other content areas. So this week, we are kicking off our summer book study here at the Stellar Teacher Company. And this year, we are reading through The Writing Revolution 2.0. Now, if you are part of our summer book study, go ahead and drop an emoji in the comments so we can give you a little shout out. And if you haven't signed up yet, but you like the idea of reading through this book with an incredible group of educators, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to our free book study in the description. We just got started. It is not too late to join us at all. So, in chapter 1 of The Writing Revolution, the authors share 6 different foundational writing principles. And one of them really stood out to me. And it says, when embedded in the content of the curriculum, writing instruction is a powerful teaching tool. And yet, most schools treat writing as if it is a standalone subject. I know I did when I was in the classroom, and that's exactly how my school approached it as well. Oftentimes, when we think about writing, we ask students to write about their personal experiences instead of academic content. We don't really give students structured writing support in science, social studies, or math. And we rarely intentionally transfer what we are teaching in writing to other subject areas. So, if you think about it, it's no wonder that students struggle with writing. And ultimately, if we want students to get better at writing, we can't just limit our writing instruction and intentional writing practice to just our ELA block. It needs to happen across every single subject: math, science, and social studies, and even reading. And really, what we need to realize is that when students know what they are writing about, writing is going to become a lot easier for them. So rather than relying so much on having students write about their personal experiences, let's give them opportunities to write about what they're reading, to write about what they're learning in math, science, and social studies, and to give them the support to do it. I'm going to share one really simple activity that is going to help you bring in more intentional writing into all of the other content areas. So, this writing activity is called Because But So. And I'm going to show you an example of what it could look like in reading, math, and science. Before we do that, let's break down what this activity is. With this activity, you're going to give your students a sentence stem, but it's going to end in a different conjunction. And students are going to have to respond to the sentence stem 3 different times. And based on the conjunction, their response is going to be differently. So, for example, maybe you're reading a story and you give your students the prompt, David walks to school alone. Your students are going to really have to think about how they can respond to that prompt so that way they can complete the sentence. David walks to school alone because David walks to school alone, but David walked to school alone so. And each of those sentences are going to have completely different meaning based off of the conjunction that they used. I'm going to show you some examples of completed sentence stems later on for the subject areas, but this writing activity is really powerful and it is great to incorporate across multiple subject areas for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's a really great way to check students' understanding in a very authentic way. Like I said, students have to respond very differently to the prompt if they are using because compared to if they're using but. And so it's really going to help you see their true understanding of the subject that you are teaching. It's also really going to help students improve and develop critical thinking skills. They can't just give you maybe the first answer that comes to mind. They really have to think, does this answer satisfy the conjunction used in the prompt? And ultimately, from a writing perspective, it gives students an opportunity to elaborate and expand and really create a detailed response. And students are getting structured support and scaffolds to be able to write both complex and compound sentences, which we know are a challenge, but something that we want our students to be successful with later on if we want them to be strong writers. let's talk about what the strategy might look like in different subject areas. In reading, you could use because, but, so to really do a comprehension check. So you might want to use this after a read aloud, a picture book, or any story or text that you are reading just to check students' comprehension. And you'll give students a sentence stem that is related to the text that they just read. And then you're going to ask them to complete that sentence stem using the 3 different conjunctions because, but, so. And like I said, this is really going to help students think critically about what it is that they just read. So let's just say you finished up reading Charlotte's Web with your students. The prompt that you might give your students would be, Charlotte is a loyal friend. Now, students have to use the 3 different conjunctions to complete that prompt. So they might come up with, Charlotte is a loyal friend because she works hard to save Wilbur. Charlotte is a loyal friend, but some animals on the farm don't understand her actions. Charlotte is a loyal friend, so she writes words to help her friend Wilbur. Now, this is a great activity, and it's short, it's structured, and really it's going to help students think about cause and effect relationships, compare and contrast relationships, as well as consequences. And we know that all of those things are important to having deep understanding about what it is that we read. Let's talk about how we might use this strategy during a math class. You might use this as a warm-up, you might use it as a discussion point during a lesson, or you could use it possibly as an exit ticket afterwards. I know one of the things that I taught when I was a 4th grade teacher was the classification of quadrilaterals, and the because, but, so strategy or activity would be a great writing prompt to incorporate to that lesson. So you would ask students to explain a geometry concept like quadrilaterals using the because, but, so strategy. This writing strategy is going to get students to think really critically about the math concept that you're teaching, and it's going to be an opportunity for them to use really precise language, which we know is important when we're trying to understand math concepts. So the prompt that you might give your students is, a square is a rectangle. And if you want to get real fancy, you could give your students that prompt at the start of your lesson as a warm-up, have them tell you if they agree or disagree, teach your lesson, and then at the very end, have them revisit that prompt, but they're going to respond now using the 3 different conjunctions. So their responses might look something like this. A square is a rectangle because it has 4 right angles and opposite sides that are equal. A square is a rectangle, but not all rectangles have 4 equal sides. And a square is a rectangle, so it fits into more than one category. This strategy is going to really have students think beyond just the simple definitions that they would learn and really think critically about the relationships of shapes. But also, it's that opportunity for students to practice writing elaborated responses and getting practice understanding how conjunctions work in a sentence and writing compound and complex sentences. Okay, so let's talk about how we can use the because, but, so structure for our science or social studies lessons. So you might want to use this strategy after you have taught a lesson, watched a video, or read a chapter in one of your textbooks. And you can use this strategy to have students explain their understanding of a key concept. And the because, but, so structure is really going to reinforce knowledge building. And it's also going to be a very easy way for students to get practice writing about the information that they've just learned in a really clear and concise and structured way. So the prompt that you might give your students would be, earthquakes can cause major damage. And then again, depending on the knowledge that students have, they're going to respond using the 3 different conjunctions. So their responses might look something like this. Earthquakes can cause major damage because they release powerful energy from the Earth's crust. Earthquakes can cause major damage, but buildings designed with shock absorbers can reduce the destruction. And then finally, earthquakes can cause major damage, so it's important for cities to have emergency plans. And again, this is a great opportunity for students to practice writing about the content that they are learning, but it's a really low stakes way, and they're getting support because you're providing the prompt to them. So they're getting to deepen their knowledge about a subject, and they're getting practice with a really important sentence writing activity. When we treat writing as if it is everyone's job, not just the ELA teachers, we are going to be giving students more opportunities to practice reinforcing their key writing skills, which is ultimately going to lead to more confident writers in our classrooms. If you're part of our summer book study, keep an eye out because our YouTube videos for the next 4 weeks are going to give you small strategies that you can incorporate into your classroom just to make writing a little bit more of a focus for you next year. Before we wrap this up, I would love to know, what subject area do you plan on using the because but so strategy with first? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that way you know about future videos that will release. Happy teaching, and I'll see you in the next video.